Hey everyone, my name is Oscar Sykes, and I'm here with EarthEcho International's Youth Leadership Council as a part of World Water Day here at Naked Springs in Gilchrist County in North Florida. And as you can see here, we actually got a natural spring right here where there's a crack that comes out of the aquifer and flows into the down a spring run into the Santa Fe River, and from there to the Suwannee River into the Gulf of Mexico. So Florida has the world's highest concentration of freshwater springs, over 700. And that's thanks to our unique geology, because we've got a lot of rainfall that goes into our forests and marshes, and that percolates down into our aquifer, which is Florida's entire bedrock is limestone. You won't find any rocks that aren't limestone in Florida. And that limestone is full of cracks and tunnels, and so that's where our aquifer is, just right underground. And at certain points, we've got cracks or holes in the aquifer where the water rushes up, sometimes over hundreds of thousands of gallons a minute, and it creates these springs. And these springs are really crucial to our rivers because they recharge our rivers as they flow in. They're really crucial to a lot of our economy, especially in North Florida and just our entire North Florida brand. And they, for local wildlife, that you might be able to see behind me, there's lots of fish and turtles around here. And they're just, I think, a really unique part of what makes Florida such a special place. But Florida is a state with really high population growth. So that means that we're reducing a lot of the water in our aquifer because, we're paving over a lot of land with, strip malls and subdivisions. And that means water is running off instead of going into the aquifer itself. And we also use a lot of the water for drinking water, for agriculture, and and for our lawns. And that means especially in places near big cities like Miami, or sorry, not Miami, but Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa. The water basically from the aquifer basically goes in this cone of depression towards those cities and gets sucked up for their water needs. So that means, first of all, there's a lot less water in our aquifer, and that means less water is coming out of our springs, which means some of these springs have stopped flowing, or they've really reduced their flow. And another key issue is, nutrients and fertilizer, because we've got a really large agriculture industry here. We use septic tanks for our sewage. We use fertilizer on our lawns, but unfortunately, most of that is going into the aquifer itself. And that means we've got a lot of nutrients like nitrogen coming out of our springs, and that creates the growth of a lot of the kind of algae you see right there, because they really kind of boom whenever there's high nutrient loads in the water. And that's at the expense of native grasses and native habitat. And also just it can clog up the springs. It really kind of reduces what makes these springs so special. So, it can seem pretty overwhelming, a lot of the issues, our springs face, and of course Florida's overall environment faces, because, if our springs are in trouble, that they're barometers for the health of our aquifer. So that means our whole entire aquifer is in trouble, which puts us in trouble because over 90% of Floridians depend on the aquifer for clean water, and they really are crucial for the survival of our state here. So I think if you want to think about how you can take action for our springs, part of it starts with just getting outside into them. If you live in Florida, you're most likely have a spring nearby, and just they're so amazing to explore, and Floridians love to go canoeing and swimming here. And you can bring along your kids, and you really start to cultivate stewardship for our springs. And another thing you could do is think about your own habits, because it makes a big difference about whether you're using fertilizer in your lawn, or whether you're watering your lawn, because that in terms of the health of the aquifer and just the overall water you use. But I think the most important is after you've gone outside in your springs and you've looked about how our habits affect the aquifer, to really just become an advocate. And because we really need changes in policy to make sure that we're being stewards of the aquifer. We're not, dumping fertilizers in them. We're being careful about how we use fertilizers, even though obviously agriculture is really important. We do it in the right way. We try to monitor our usage of water. We try to monitor the overall health of water. That's what the World Water Monitoring Challenge is about. And we make sure that our kids and our grandkids can have our springs. They can have our this healthy aquifer that Floridians really need. And you don't need to feel like you have to be some sort of professional conservationist or a politician to be advocate for our springs. You just need to be someone who cares, and educate your community, bring people out here, hold their politicians accountable, vote for politicians that support springs. Look at what issues are happening with springs in your own area. And that was a journey that started for me as a Floridian who loved to get outside. Backpacking, canoeing, I decided to walk, and I realized that, there's a huge issue with, loss of wild places in Florida, and loss of, our heritage, and so much of, our economy if we lose our natural environment here. So I decided to walk from my home in Gainesville to Tallahassee to send a message that the Florida legislature needs to support conservation programs that protect wild places that voters have already supported a lot. And so I shared the story of, the places I walked through in social media. North Florida in the spring is beautiful, so it was really special to walk through there. I wrote in newspapers. I had people, I encouraged people to write postcards to the legislator. And when I got to Tallahassee, I actually spoke at a rally for different issues in Florida. And then I met different members of Florida state legislature and told them about the need to be stewards of our wild places. So, I think it was encouraging to see when normal people speak up, people pay attention, and I think you'll be surprised, when you get involved, how much of an impact you can make. And I think it really is up to all of us at the end of the day, not just our leaders, to be stewards of our springs and all of our wild places. So thanks so much for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure. And I hope you can check out the other live streams. And I really appreciate, that EarthEcho gave me this opportunity. Have a great day.